Hi guys, welcome back to the channel for another video on Marvel Contest of Champions. What's this video about? Well, sit patiently and I'll tell you, unless you've read the thumbnail and the title, which kind of gives it away. Let's get into the video. Yes, this video is centered around angry erections. Angry boners. Crossbones? Crossbones. It's about crossbones. That little joke was probably for hardcore RichTheMan fans back in the day, probably about a year ago, 2 years ago, where that was a joke. As you know, Crossbones made an appearance in Civil War, so it has met the likes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Unfortunately, not in a huge capacity. It was in a small capacity, in a small bit role. It was a good character development from the point of what happened in Winter Soldier to then what happened in Civil War. But it was disappointing not to see a bit more of Crossbones at the cinema. But still, we got a very decent champion when he arrived in game. And at the time, the 4-star was good. But as a 5-star, he's incredibly enjoyable. And this is all down to Furies, Overrun, and Incinerate. Part of his passive ability is that when you're working out things with crit, instead it then transfers over to Fury, which increases the attack quite high. When I'm looking to build a synergy, and even for the point of like doing a fight, which you're going to be seeing shortly, I'm going to be putting together a team that is very crit rating heavy, especially with the ones here. So having Captain America in and then building that further around just means for getting lots more of those Fury buffs. And some of the footage you're going to see is going to see up to about 11 Fury buffs in play, and the damage output is pretty darn sweet. Stats wise aren't very high. The attributes could be a lot better for the champion, but still the signature ability, the passive abilities, as well as putting together a decent synergy, does mean you're able to damage output, and it doesn't really need any of this stuff. But that being said, in some ways it would be nice to see a huge amount more critical rating, just to mean that everything just works out a little bit better for the champion, especially with the current meta of the game. But that being said, you don't have to do crit rating heavy. You could even mix it up and do a little bit of crit damage and crit rating. A little bit of shmush between the two will mean you'll be able to put out a lot more damage as it stacks up higher. So a little bit of a mixture between the crit rating and crit damage, having a well-structured team could work out pretty well. And especially looking at the team here, it's like very reminiscent of Civil War, with the kind of the teams aspect and the certain characters that were put in that particular film. Activating Overrun is pretty cool. You're able to like swipe back, holding down the block, and then you're able to get Overrun. It'll ping up and you'll get some decent stuff. First of all, that you're going to get 3 Fury buffs just going to hit there, and obviously it's going to stack up pretty well. As I said, I hit up about 11 Fury buffs at one given time, and that was helped by being in Overrun. Also, the name of the game is power gaining, which you can do in whatever kind of stance you are, whether or not you're going to take out the opponent or you're blocking and taking a bit of damage. It's still important and helps out for your character. And also, Overrun helps with power gaining. Who'd have thunk it? Going up against the enemy, you're going to gain power. Staying defensive, you're going to gain power, a lot more than normal. And it's completely up to you how you want to play that out, whether or not you want to spam loads of L1s to build more Fury, or you want to do a combination and do an L2 in order to do some more Incinerate. These are your options, whether or not gain Furies or do Incinerate. It's your choice, SP1 or SP2. I find that sometimes I want to do a little bit more damage with Incinerate, so then I end up doing the L2s, but I do see great value in building up more Furies on the particular champion. I've currently put my Crossbones up to rank 3, but I do see some great value now to put him up to rank 4. But with tier 2 alpha being so difficult to find, and recently getting Domino as well as Stark Spidey and Iron Man Infinity War, I think it may be a good champion that would be after those. Also got Sabretooth, so maybe it's number 5 on that list. Crossbones does feel that he's lost himself in the meta of the game, but still packs an almighty punch that is well worth to be taken any further within anybody's roster. If you've got this champion and then you're looking to kind of go, right, oh, I don't have any of those amazing champions that are currently in the game that are considered to be the best champions, but I do have this champion, he's a definite contender. As a 4-star, if you're looking to then take him up to rank 5, I would rate that. That's a good decision. But when it comes to a 5-star, make sure that you are putting your best foot forward. And if you don't feel that Crossbones is your best foot forward, then reserve him back. A rank 3 is a definite sure decision with this champion. The signature ability is fantastic. I absolutely love this. If you're going against champions that hit a load of debuff effects at you and you've got Hydra training up quite high, you're going to shrug off those effects and turn them into Fury buffs. amazing. So bleeds, poisons, you name it, those effects are going to be shrugged off, and then you're going to have this fury buff and you're going to be able to hit more at the enemy. Imagine that, the way that you're playing, you've got the 11, as you've seen, I had 11 buffs on for Fury, and then imagine that, just like you're shrugging off all these kind of debuff effects I've been putting out, you're going to get Scarlet Witch, and as you know, she hits a lot of debuff effects, you're then, absorbing them, they're shrugging them off, and you're getting it, and you're hitting out a load of damage. This is fantastic, and it's great for this champion. It's a shame that at the moment in the current meta, he feels that he is being pushed to the side, but he is a fantastic champion, and I strongly, suggest using him. Unfortunately, and it's like I said, there are so many decent champions in game at the moment, and especially champions that I've recently got that do have pride and place as being above. And I may even consider at the end of the year what I'm doing with Thor Ragnarok. And no disrespect to Thor Ragnarok, he's only being used as a defensive champion, but I can see a little bit more value in using Crossbones. I enjoy him as an offensive character, so maybe I'll switch it up. Maybe I'll have one champion go up further, I'll have one champion back, and Crossbones by the end of the year could go that way. I do worry about the state of affairs with 6-star champions and the amount of resources needed for them, and the changing with stuff with Act 6 coming next year. What will this mean? Will it mean that I will have to put all my resources to kind of get my 6 stars stronger? That might be where I'll have to go, but I am a little bit worried about that, but we'll see how we are at the end of the year and the start of next year and Act 6. But in any case, the candle still burns bright for this champion. I love him, I think he's brilliant, but what are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments section below. I've been RichTheMan, make sure to like and subscribe for more Marvel Contest of Champions based content, and as always, I shall catch you in the next video. Bye bye for now.